Hopefully that's worked. Do let me know if everything's working and the volume's alright and stuff. And yes, lots of you already here. Hello to everyone who's here. Lots and lots of familiar names. Good to see you all. Thank you so much for showing up. I won't read out all your names, but lots of familiar names who are veterans of mine. And as you can see here today, we've got Harad's Tier 3. Again, we're working on them. I've sort of haven't worked on them in between streams actually, so basically almost a straight up continuation from last week's stream. We've got Django Fett, Durin, Zahn, Elegy, our community manager, Holy Plague Knight, Massey Ferguson, Emil Ridder, lots and lots of familiar names, AVO, Joe Schnatz. Hello to all of you. Enzo Kohlmeier, Strozel, hello. And yes, like I was saying last week, hopefully the volume is sounding good and better than the frightfully quiet volume that we had plague us before. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump straight in. And today, I don't think we're going to finish these guys today, but I mean, I want to put a significant dent in. I realised that last stream I talked a huge amount and didn't get that much done. And I just saw that case. You scared me so bad. I had this open. You forgot that you had this open. I'm terribly sorry, man. Good to see you around. Yeah, no, I was hoping that wouldn't happen to anyone. Next stream I'll start off really nice and quiet, give it a few moments. I sort of jump in there with a big sort of enthusiastic hello. So let's keep it, I'll keep it slightly more reserved at the start. Anyway, let's go. Quick thing about layers here is that you can see I've got each figure on a separate layer. Having it locked like this means that you can't accidentally draw something on this guy when you're on this layer, just by pressing that padlock there, of course. That means that everything I draw is on this guy. And the impressive Marcus Newman. Ahoy there, Myron. Ahoy there, Marcus Newman. First of all, okay, a few things I want to do to really boost this straight away is I've got this work in progress here. This is just a sort of assembly, collage, collection of Haradrim weapons that I'm going to be doing. I haven't done anything other than this yet, so I've just done the spears at the moment, but that's fine because today all we need is these spears. So let's select 3 of these. I'm just going to let's get all 3 of those. Whoops. And Control C. Now if we come into here and Control V that, we should have all 3 of them. Perfect. Holy Plague Knight. Oh, I have to do the pirate voice. Ahoy there, matey. Your drawing skills be impeccable as always. Well, thank you, Holy Plague Knight. And forgive that terrible pirate accent. Anyway, right, we've got them all selected now. Let's get one. I'm just going to chuck them on the end of all these spears. Although I actually... Yeah, okay. I want to go more with steel in this, because steel, of course, is a more expensive metal than bronze. So let's give this guy actually the bronze spear, and we're gonna have to flip it because the lighting is the wrong way around. And when you've got it open like this with that tick up here and stuff, then you can just press one of these. You can right click and then you'll get this little menu up here, then you can flip. Jindras the Goat. Hi, how do you do, everyone? Well, I'm doing very good, thank you, Jindras. At the moment, I'm unfortunately in quarantine from COVID. You just got, what you got to do these days, eh? But that basically means more time for Rise of Mordor, so I don't think any of you will complain about that. I'm feeling great. So, and LG saying, "Will draw some stuff myself as you stream." Hello, Myron. New mic. It's great if so. The mic's the same. It's just that I've boosted the settings a little bit, so hopefully the the volume is better. It picks up more and stuff. But yeah, it's a good mic. It's got good quality. And yeah, great. Love it that you're drawing. Yeah. If any of you today saw the announcement that we've opened up the position of 2D artist again, because before in our recruitment channel we had it crossed off because we didn't need any 2D artists. But some of you might know that I'm starting to transition into 3D art. I'm starting to look into architecture. With our campaign really ramping up now, we need all hands on deck. Nice little reference there to the pirate thing earlier. All hands on deck, ahoy! Everyone needs to get on board with the campaign stuff, which of course is custom architecture. And I don't know what I'm going to be doing yet. Perhaps some more Gondor and stuff. I was talking with Victimized about more Gondor and stuff, but I don't know exactly what I'm doing. But I think I will be moving over. So that all goes back to the point that we need more 2D artists to replace me, kind of. Not that, of course, I'll be stopping completely, but I want to make that a secondary focus, if you understand what I mean. And Holy Plague Knight, your pirate accent be better than mine at least. It's like a pirate accent. It's like a if you're not from England, you won't understand what I'm talking about here. But it's sort of like a southern farmer from Cornwall or Devon or something. Yeah. Which isn't actually apparently how. Oh, yeah, apply that. That's not apparently how pirates spoke. But it's all made famous by Treasure Island, as far as I know. Let's just get rid of this. Hopefully they blend fine. Okay, that looks good. Yeah, getting these spearheads in there is going to add lots more life. Last one. LG, man, that's a bummer about the quarantine. Okay, it's not that bad. I'm just sort of stuck in my room, but like I said, more time for Rise of Mordor. Perfect. Zarn, finally those smexy spears again. I am a very big fan of them. I know they're my own work, but I am a fan of these spears, I have to say, yeah. Why is that underneath that? That's weird. I find that a bit bizarre. That's why. Spear shaft in this case is a separate layer, so let's put that down there. Emil Redder, yeah, your mic sounds great. Good to hear. AA Oezka, will you finish the Mordor roster in the future, like the Uruk Bodyguard unit and Tier 2 maybe? Love your work. Yes, actually, I've got let me show it to you. I mean, I might as well show it to you. This is my start on the Uruk Bodyguard. And as you can see, I mean, you've probably noticed, you've seen Mega Blue Iron's Mordor reworking streams, which are great, by the way. If you want to learn Rise of Mordor modelling, I definitely recommend watching them as tutorials, because they're really, really good. He's very good at explaining what he's doing. Anyway, but these are a Mordor Uruk Bodyguard. As you can see, lots of the assets are already being used from those tier 3s, so it's not going to be that's something you need to consider when you do concepts, is that how easy is it going to be for the modeler? And in this case, hopefully it'll be quite easy for him, because a lot of these assets are, like I said, used from tier 3. Anyway, I'm delaying as usual, let me quickly catch up with the chat. Edred, good to have you here. Hello, man. How are you doing? I'm very good, thank you. Glad you could make it. Massey Ferguson, are those pirate puns a surprise for Corsairs? Unfortunately not. I'm going to finish this main tribe of Harad, then I'm doing Corsairs, okay? So you might see that in the future, but not quite yet. Zan 13, if only I was good at 2D art, you would apply. Well, it's all down to practice. Really. I don't believe in talent, I believe in hard work. Let's reduce the size a little bit. There we go. And get rid of that. And we're going to make the rest of the spear shafts look nicer as well anyway, so let's just combine these layers. So, which one is which? Let me zoom out to full thing so we can see what we're doing. Holy Plague, no, I'm feeling like a pirate today. Nothing. No, okay, all your comments I'll have to read in a pirate voice. No, I'm feeling like a pirate today. Nothing to do with the Corsairs, at least I think. And then Massey Ferguson says a nice lengthy alrighty. Okay, Enzo Kohlmeyer saying, Zan, I'm not a half bad, I'm not anywhere near Myron's level, that's for sure. I mean, all help is greatly appreciated, man. So you can always apply. I mean, you're never gonna. There's no harm in applying. The worst that could happen is that we say, go away and practice a bit more. But we're not gonna. If there's a chance, and it's not necessarily about skill. It's about your ideas. If your ideas are good, because that's the point. It's you're designing. Of course, you do have to have some level of skill as well. To show how to depict that well, but it is mainly about your ideas. Nice feedback from those for the Uruk bodyguards, which is good to hear. Holy Plague Knight. I think that's. I draw like a small child. I draw like a small child who just left kindergarten. Nice lengthy kindergarten. If you've just joined and you're wondering why I'm speaking a pirate voice, Holy Plague Knight is feeling like a pirate today, so I'm going to be reading out all his comments in pirate voice. LG saying a great spear for Asif. Absolutely. For those of you who don't know, this is our fan creation, Asif Ratsor. Who is it's our campaign to get him as a custom general for Harad. One-eyed Asif, as you can see, he's only got one eye. I don't know how this guy in particular came to be anything special, but he is. Caden 1104, hello, welcome. And AA Ozeka, love your Harad concepts. I think Harad is an underrated but such a beautiful faction. I agree, totally agree. Sorry, let me get on with the work. I realise I've been right. So those two are connected. So we're going to select them both, Control E to merge. Learning keyboard shortcuts and commands and things is really, really useful. So that's that one, and that's the central one. Oh, no, command like that. That's that one done. That means that one must be with that one. Yep, right, we're good. Right, second thing before we start on the actual work is I'm going to make a new layer. This is the new layer button, or you can do Control Shift N, like so, or you can. I've got a special button on my tablet that lets me press it straight away, as you can see up here, and I get that straight away. So let's do that. And what we're going to do is we're going to do the shadows, because the shadows really, really make the piece. If you have, and what I'm going to do quickly, hang on, shift that all, select, and we just move it up a tiny bit. There we go. But yeah, like I was saying, if you don't have shadows, these guys look like they're floating at the moment. Move them down a little bit, actually. Yeah. They look like they're floating, right? So that really, shadows really, really grounds them. And it creates it strengthens the lighting, it creates more life. Realism. So we're going to get a nice big brush, and I'm going to put the opacity right down. Now I'm going to select one of the darkest areas of the background, and basically we're going to sort of slowly bring the shadows out from their feet. As you can see, of course, the light's coming from this side, like so. So the shadows need to be facing away from that side. This is usually the last step, but I think I'll do it now just to, you know, make it look much more appealing for people joining. And as you can see, look at that. Straight away you can see he is standing on something. Holy Plague Night. If it's tiring you, you can speak in the normal voice. Because I'll be writing a lot today. Well, I don't know. If you don't mind my accent, I'll keep doing it. If I have a terrible pirate accent, do let me know, in which case I will stop. Jagged Effect are all these different tiers, or one tier with armor variations. This is one tier with armor variations. These are tier 3. So basically, if as a comparison, you know the guys in the film are tier 2. You know, they've got sort of like wicker armor, not great, but it's something. And you might have seen my recent design for tier 1. So that's a sort of even less armor, just basically cloth. And these guys are sort of like a romanticized version of tier 2. So I've had to take that basic idea and sort of make it look more elite. And right, straight away, all of that looks... And of course we need to clean that up a little bit. But hopefully, yeah, that looks so much more like lifelike now. Get that little shadow of the spear. It's not quite connecting the floor, so it's going to be slightly fainter. Like so. And yeah, like I was saying, this sort of low opacity brush means that I can really sort of build up layers and get really sort of smooth blending. As you can see, it's, you know, shadows are quite, they're not sharp. They're quite sort of blended in like this, so it's perfect for that. But any kind of shading really, maybe not to that sort of dramatically low opacity, but you know, that's how I do blending. Holy Plague Night. Oh, I love your pirate accent. Okay, good. Okay, good. Edred, I think your British pirate accent is great. Oh, thank you. Joe Schnatz, will these guys have shields? Good question. Let me just check for you quickly. I'll open a new tab on my laptop. I haven't said my signature if you're new to Rise of Mordor. Well, if you are new to Rise of Mordor, our social media is in the description below. You can find all our, our Discord where we have all our updates and our previews. Do have a look at that. And I'm just checking the Haradrim spheres, and I'm on my our Trello page right now, which is in the description as well, which is where you can see all our oh, they do have shields, shit, okay. Yeah, that's where you can see all our faction concepts and our unit cards and our stats and things. Holy Plague Night. Edred, if you be blabbering about gentlemen of fortune near my presence, blabbering in a gentleman of fortune way. I don't know what you mean by that. I can't read it at the same time as I understand it. Edred, if you be blabbering about gentlemen of fortune near me, presence blabbering in a general fortune way. I don't know what you're talking about there, but it sounds piratey. A gentleman of fortune. Okay, they do have shields. Scheisse. What are we going to do about that? Small round. I'll just do them separately. I'm not going to do them on this because I think that might ruin. What did they say? Was it a small round shield? I'm not going to make anything up on the spot in the stream, just because whenever I've done that in the past, it just never goes very well. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to, whoops. Basically, I'm going to copy this section of the rod, and I'm going to paste it onto here. And now we can just transfer it over to okay, so that's that one. And paste again. Oh no, we're not going to paste it again. I'm just going to copy this one and then copy and paste that. There we go. So we can sort of make the detailing a sort of stick like this is quite time consuming. So I'm just cheating here a little bit, making use of copy and paste. I'm sure none of you can blame me. Oh, stop that. Control E to merge them together, and we're going to merge that onto that guy. Now that guy is complete and we've got the full stick. Let's bring our brush down to a normal size again. I assume a gentleman of fortune is a pirate. You've sent the correction. Edred, if you be blabbering about pirates near my presence. Oh, okay, that's it. Edred, if you be blabbering about pirates near my presence, blabbering a pirate way. A translation of the last sentence is a bit too hard. Yeah. Yeah. Edred didn't understand, but it does sound epic. Yeah. Yeah, very true. To all of you new who's joined, I'm talking a pirate accent because Holy Plague Night is feeling like a pirate. For any of you who, decide to have a nice chill Rise of Mordor stream and found me speaking like a pirate, I do apologise if that scared any of you. Right. Get this second one on. Good lord, what's happening here? That needs to go under there like so. Edred, concept art is all about being fast and efficient, so cheating is okay. Absolutely agree. Cheating is, I wouldn't even call it cheating. I'd say it's only cheating. Something is only cheating if you can't do it normally. If you're able to do it, but it might take 2 hours, then I see absolutely no harm in cheating, because you're just, all you're doing is saving yourself time. You're not actually, manipulating it so that you are able to do something you're not actually able to do normally. So I see no issue with that at all, yeah. That's that. So. There we go, that's second spear done. Yeah, hopefully you can see now how much more character is in these spears now from that. Zahn, I mean, it's not a test, so it isn't really cheating. Yeah, exactly. One more little bit on the end here. Holy Plague Night. Cheating be okay, because we all be gentlemen of fortune. Pirates in our hearts. Yeah. Okay. I need to lower the voice. If I lower the voice, then it sounds more piratey, I think. Flip horizontal. Now we get the lighting on the right side. That's bizarre. Okay. C'est bizarre. There we go. And we just use our lasso tool, L, to cut the bits we don't want, which is those bits, and then we can combine it onto our layer. Oh, wrong one. It is the middle one, that one. There we go, now they're all in order. Brilliant. So let's crack on with the details then. Which one should we do? Let's finish off these guys' leg wraps. As dull as it is, it's something that needs to be done. But the thing is, the beautiful thing about this is, with concept art, you focus on the bits that need focusing on. The bits that need high detail, you spend a lot of time on. The bits that don't need as much detail, you don't need to be as meticulous with. Like a leg wrap, for instance. Frucy is our modeler, of course. He knows it's fabric, and he knows that it just from these quite basic little movements here I'm doing, he knows it's quite sort of worn and torn and dirty. But you don't need to spend hours and hours doing that. But also because it's not the legs that you instantly look at as a viewer. When you look at a figure or a drawing or a thing, you don't tend to look at the leg. You tend to look at the face straight away. Just as human instinct, you tend to look at the face. Like this guy, you're looking at that face. If you look at him, you're not looking at the fact that he's got 16 metal rings on his leg. I don't know what You're looking at how he's looking. His face here. You're looking into his eyes. That's exactly how art works. So you need to think about that when you're drawing. Ivar, that's Maestro. You got a nice new fancy title actually recently. Lead designer or something. To reflect the fact that Maestro is the guy who is planning the entire campaign, basically. All those cool faction overviews that you've seen on our YouTube channel are all planned by him. Oh yeah, your question, apologies. The shields, I only remembered that these guys have a shield. Or someone mentioned it actually, I completely forgot about it. So I will do those shields separately. Just because I don't want to have the stress of designing something on stream. Because that never really ends well. If we get bored, I might have a go at the end. And it only ever tends to get really stressful when it just never goes right. B33 Mac. I noticed that all the wargs planned in the Trello are tier 2. Are there any plans to make tier 3 wargs for Gundabad or the goblins? Perhaps. I think that would be very cool, to be honest. Having wargs with plate armor on them would be awesome. From a aesthetic point of view, I'd love to design something like that. Although Haganaz is our goblins modeler, so he'd probably get to do that. Haganaz is a incredible sort of all-rounder artist. He's good at everything. So he basically designs his own units because he's more than capable. Mohammed Ifran Ahmad, when will the update be released? The Dwarven update is, as far as I know, it's coming very, very soon. You've all probably seen the 5K special preview on our YouTube channel, which was where we showed a preview of the Dwarven update. So you can see that it's basically finished. I think it's still in sort of like a testing phase. Our opacity is a little bit low actually. Let's boost it up to 50. And with this, I think the leg wraps are close to finished. I mean, I'm not going to say they're perfect, of course, and a lot of stuff in stream I tend to sort of fix up off camera. just because, you know, not having the pressure of not pressure, but having the distraction of a chat means that you you can put all your focus into that. But I'd much rather have the chat than work in silence, of course. I'd much rather have the engagement. Martin Laurent, c'est bizarre. Didn't know you spoke French. I learned French in school. That's the boundaries of my French. I could probably just survive in France. I mean, you have better English than most people in this country, actually, to be honest. Whenever I've been in France or Germany, most people in Europe. I mean, the development team is largely from Europe. Most of their English is flawless, so I haven't got any fears of being stranded in France or Germany and not being able to speak the language properly. But yeah, I'd probably be able to get by in France and Germany with the little French and German that I do know. Although my French is really quite appalling, actually. Lopez the first, or Lopez the one strategy. Hi everyone, I made it. Looking great, man. Thank you, Lopez. Thank you for stopping by. Yeah, thanks to all of you for coming along. It's really, really nice to have you all here. Ivar, Maestro. Just as a heads up, Tier 3 standard Harad trimmer comprised of a glaive unit. Glaive, okay. Two-handed, a spear unit with a round shield and not... okay, the glaive unit, the axe unit, is a different look from this though. This aesthetic here is only applied to the spear and the archers. The glaive unit is a sort of more assassin-like unit, you know, wearing black and robes and darkness. So yes, these guys should have a shield. We might do that later. I don't know. How do you play like? Oh, I don't like Frenchmen, although they be pretty jolly purses for me to plunder. Edrad, they teach you French in the UK? They do. I think French and Spanish is the usual one, but they taught me French and German at my school. Mais mon français c'est très... Ce n'est pas bien. I take that back, actually. I don't think I could survive in France with the French I know. Manfred the Great. What German words, you know? I know a lot of German words. I mean, I learnt it for... Gosh, I learnt it for 10 years at school. Had a good teacher, so I enjoyed it a lot. Although I've forgotten quite a lot. Awkward Saxon. You always think that, and then you get some regional accent thrown at you and you don't understand a word. Yeah, very true. Very true. I think same with English. I mean, I'm assuming that some of you can't understand a word I'm saying when I'm saying my pirate accent, because, you know, when I'm speaking like this in my pirate accent, you probably can't understand, because it's more like a southern, like, farmer accent. So most of you might be quite baffled at that. You might be used to my normal accent, but so there you go. Yeah. My French accent sounds. I think my French accent's okay. Yeah. Ivar, interesting approach to the glaive unit. I like it. I did trick you a bit though. I changed the two-handed axe to a glaive only just now. Yeah, I was wondering. I thought it was an axe. I like the concept of a glaive more, actually. That, even the word, it sounds quite cool. But yeah, glaive, an assassin unit, silent, cut robed in black and dark red maybe, minimal gold. Maybe a cool helmet poking through a hood though, that might be quite cool. I haven't thought about the design yet. Bit like I'm thinking something like the Hashari from Games Workshop, or a Third Age Total War. Zone 13. Each time I read or hear glaive, I always think of the polearm. Well, I mean, a glaive is a polearm. A polearm is basically a weapon on the end of a stick, so a spear is technically a polearm. Leroy-Nidas. Sounds like you're from Plymouth. Is that my real accent or my pirate accent? My real accent is just sort of a generic southern accent as far as I know. I live near London. Bagrillius, hello, welcome. Holy Plague Knight. It seems I have turned all a parley in this chat here against me. Haha. You turned all the chat in this. You've turned all the parley and the conversation in this chat here, friend. God, that was confusing. You've turned all the conversation in this here chat against you. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're a pirate after all. It's to be expected. Manfred the Great. I understood your French. Also have some French taught to us in Germany. Well, I mean, I said mon français ce n'est pas bien. It's a very simple sentence. My French is not good. Let's just quickly gloss over these shoes again. Like I said, simple plain shoes, nothing special. We don't need anything fancy on the shoes. Let's get a bit of desert dirt in there. Lower the opacity a little bit for that. Ivar, speaking of accents, what area of the UK are you from? What's your favourite English native accent? Mine is Kiwi. Kiwi accent is New Zealand. I'm not sure that counts as a native accent. I mean the New Zealand Kiwi accent is excellent, absolutely excellent. So I think that might be my favourite as well. Actually, if we're sort of broadly speaking, everyone who speaks English. If we are speaking England only, though, I do like an Irish accent. An Irish accent's perfect. But I don't want to offend anyone. I don't want to offend anyone on the chat. Because I probably can't do it perfectly well. But an Irish accent's probably my favourite. But I'm from Hertfordshire, a place called Hertfordshire, just outside of London. So fairly sort of southern in the UK. And Mate, let me know if I'm pronouncing that right. Mate, hi. And a lot of OK signs from Total War Master. I take that as a sign of approval, so thank you. And there we go, just getting some desert wear and tear on his shoes. Again, yeah, like I said, nothing too detailed. We can move on. I'm just sort of trying to speed through it all today, because I spend a lot of time talking and not much time working. Some more sort of dirt and wear and tear on his underclothes here. I'm not quite sure what you call this. Holy Plague Knight. Then it seems I've turned everyone who likes the French against me. Well, I mean, it's a common joke here that English people don't like French people, but that's a load of rubbish, of course. That's just a joke. But you're a pirate, so no one likes you technically. Everyone despises you and sails in fear of you. So it's to be expected. There we go. I'd say that's detail done on on the bottom there. It's a little bit frayed, but you know, it's not as badly frayed as the tier 2s, you know. So he keeps it in a little more nice condition than the other guys. I still don't understand why they keep it in such poor condition, because I mean, I wouldn't wear clothes that ragged, even if I was from the desert. I mean, surely they care a little bit about how they look. Maybe not so much these guys, but it's almost like it's comical how terribly unkempt they are in the films. You'd think that they care a little bit about how they look, but they walk around in rags draping across the floor. Really bizarre. Of course I know it's just for effect, and they didn't think of all that when they designed the costumes, but I'm just thinking back now. Martin Laurent, or Martin Laurent. Nobody likes French people, and I'm French. Well, I don't know. Well, I mean, I know 2. Is it 2? No, 3. 2. Oh yeah, Haganaz and Aldur are both French people in our development team, and they are lovely people. So that is. I think they're the only French people I know. I mean, we had French. Okay, brilliant. It looks like we're back. Terribly sorry for all that. Apologies. Yeah, we're good again. My internet is poor. I'm sorry. Oh, we have one person watching, which is lovely. We've lost everyone who was watching, so I do apologise for that. It's something I really need to fix, actually, because that is an issue. It means I can't like play multiplayer games and stuff because the internet's too bad. But that is stressful when that goes out, because it usually takes a while to reconnect. So. But anyone, yes, welcome back. Yeah, back he is. Real pirates steal the Wi-Fi. Yeah. Okay, we're back up to 28. That's good. Pirate Knight. Nice name. Pirate Knight is. Oh, I'm still watching. Bagridia, Starlink is coming to England, right there. Oh, I've heard about that. Isn't that like a satellite Wi-Fi? That sounds cool. Yeah. I'd say that's sort of. I mean, I don't see much else that needs I mean, okay, the scales here needs doing. That's something that does need doing. Scales take a fiendishly long time. Male chainmail armor is bad, but scales are actually worse, I'd say, because they're just so. I might do a few scales now just to show you the pain that goes on. Nice bright colour. Enzo Colmer, a simple connection issue would never deter me from watching. Good to hear. Edred, amazing to watch your stream and just draw along. I'm glad people are drawing along to my streams. That's really nice to hear. Let's take the brush down a little bit more. Each one of these scales means I have to go over each one like this to get the highlight, and then I mean that actually. And again, like I was saying before, Frusty knows that if you can see that these are scales, he doesn't really need that much more information about them, because they're bronze scales. That's it, really. And any information I'll provide about, like, dents and dirts and stuff, I'll do that on top of this. But in terms of the actual detail, it doesn't need to be ridiculously perfect. Quite rough like this is good enough. Hopefully, I can teach you some stuff while I rant. Haradrim, so Omer Farouk. Haradrim Saracen Byzantine mix, no? Something like that. They're a mix of, we were thinking about it last stream actually, they're like a mix of like about 5 different cultures. You've certainly got African, Middle Eastern, some sort of, I mean, I'd say even Asian, Indian, Native American, or maybe South American. Something I'm planning with the Mahud tribe actually is having sort of animal head effigies. Making weird shapes with my hands that you can't see. Animal head effigies that sort of, reminiscent of Aztec or Inca headdresses or something like that. So I haven't thought through fully yet. But yes, you're right, there's a lot of different points of reference. Begrillius, yes it is, and fast enough. Starlink. So your local ISP sucks. You can use Starlink in the near future. Yeah, I'll definitely look into that once it's. Let's get some detail on the sides here. The scale sort of peeling off like that, sort of angled off the side. How's that looking? Yeah, much better. More sort of life to it. Although admittedly you can't tell from far away like this. But it's all about the little details. You don't have to drive yourself crazy, but it's always good to go in, with a reasonable amount of finish. Pirate Knight, wow, energy. I meant that there. I need to read this before I try putting it in the accent. Or well, allergy. I thought I thought the neighbour's internet be dying. Because you stole their Wi-Fi and you thought it's right. Okay. God, there is no stopping you, is there? Umair Farouk, correct pronunciation, man. Congrats. I try. Thank you. I might have just now pronounced it wrong, so I do apologise. Zan, you should consider animal skulls on the Mahud troops. Absolutely, good idea. They're gonna, I think, sort of Mumakil bone armor will play a part. But yeah, animal skulls, sort of crow heads, maybe weird. Maybe even like that'd be cool. Like a tiger skull helmet. Oh, that's such. I've just given myself a good idea. There's several Mahud troops that are tier 2. The tier 2 Mahud troops will be particularly based off the Mumakil rider we see in the film. The guy that Eomer throws his spear into. The guys that drive the Mumakil, basically. But then the tier 3 guy, there's one tier 3 guy, I think. That's up to my own interpretation. Like this concept here, it's basically going to be an elaboration of the movie version. So maybe animal skulls as helmets might be cool, yeah. Pirate Knight reminding everyone again that no, I be a gentleman of fortune. You're a gentleman of fortune. A gentleman of fortune is a pirate. It's for everyone who doesn't know what on earth I'm talking about. I mean, in which case, oh yeah, that's it. I think hopefully it might be working again. Praise to Ariel Levitar if it is working. Oh, he's back. Yes, it is working. It's working. To any of you who stayed the whole time here, you have my deepest respect. Yeah. I do apologise for that. That is an issue at my end. So your Wi-Fi your internet is not the issue. But yes, we're back, and lots of huzzah! Lots of people repeating their greetings to me. It's good to see you all again. That was it's an issue at my end. I'll do my best to try and fix it. I don't know what exactly I can do, but I will definitely look into that because that has happened a few times before, but not that bad. That was the worst one yet, so I don't want that happening again. Some days are good, some days tend to be quite bad. And yes, hello everybody again. And I've done a little bit more in while we've been off camera, just with this sort of really light reflection kind of colour. The really light yellow here on the highlights of our armour. B33 Matt, you've earned our respect with your dedication. Well, I mean, I get to stream once a week, or rather, I mean, I could stream every day if I like, but I mean, I stream once a week. So I want to do it. And Froosty's here. Froosty, you just missed a terrible moment of unprofessionalism right there, where my internet just disconnected for about 10 minutes. So you were lucky there. Bagrillius, will you consider adding plume holders on helmets for higher tiers? Well, these are sort of tier 3. They're pretty high tier. That's a good idea though. For the tier 4, the Serpent Guard. Yeah, I'll think about that one. Let's move on to this guy. Get this detail done. Oh, wrong layer. See, there we go. Demonstration of poor layer management. I'm just going to lock both these layers so we don't accidentally draw on them. There we go. Begrilis, will you... Oh, you just said that. Zahn, sorry for copy pasting, but I'm going to ask this Muhad could perhaps use a horse or camels with bone armour for some of them. Yes, yeah. Well, just dropped my pen. Apologies. Another display of unprofessionalism. But yes, I'm not sure if we have camels planned. They do fit quite well. Camels will be a good addition if they aren't planned, but I don't know. But yeah, bone armor for their animals sounds like a good plan. Yeah. Gosh, what a stressful evening this has been. Okay, and we're back up to about 30 viewers, which is good to see. For those of you who weren't here, we had a terrible internet blackout just now, so we were disconnected for about 10 minutes. But I'm glad that we're all still here in one piece. Django Fett, wouldn't it be cool to have dwarven chariots? Dwarven chariots? You do see dwarven chariots in the extended Hobbit, don't you? It's a cool idea. I mean, the thing is, the thing about adding stuff to the dwarven roster is that they are so overpowered. Trust me, I've played them. Having the common argument of, or the common suggestion of goat cavalry. It just makes them too overpowered. They're just good at everything. They're perfect. They shine at every place, because they have, they're dwarves. They have excellent units, excellent stamina, over a short distance, mind you. Stamina, armor, excellent armor, morale, stuff like that. It's all fairly good. So giving them insane heavy cavalry or insane chariots, it just feels like it would just completely tip the balance to a point where it's too far. They'd make them too overpowered. So I'm not in favour of it. Zahn 13, could you tell us what you did in the meantime? I didn't do that much actually, because I was staring at the Wi-Fi thing here, getting it to reconnect. But I just did some sort of highlights with this sort of much whiter yellow here on all the armour to get it much more shinier. I think these guys, being more elite, being more professional soldiers, would keep better care of their armour. Let's do some patterning on this. Oh, lots of conversation now. Ragnarok Ive, good evening. Hello. But Grillius, dwarves have chariots before the Hobbit movies too in the Battle for Middle-earth games. Very true. Massey Ferguson, dwarven infantry gives me nightmares. Yeah. Going against them must be horrible. I've never played against them. But as just demonstrated, my internet is too bad to play multiplayer. Rise of Mordor. Hopefully when it's fixed though I can get into some games and yeah, experience crippling defeats are most likely. But Caden 1104, the art is too great. The art is too great, it causes technical difficulties. I I wish, but unfortunately not. If that's the case, then that's really not great. Lord LSR, hello. Teutonic Knight, hello as well. You've all missed the terrible internet issue that we had just now, so I'm glad you're all here. How are you doing? Yeah, how are you doing, Teutonic Knight? How are you all doing? I'm doing very good, thank you. Lord LSR, I'm Uriel Lone Hassad, hello. You have been posting some really cool work in the Discord lately, in our arts channel. For those of you who don't know it, it's where you can post art, hence the name. But yeah, really good work, man. I think that's been really good stuff. Lee Dowdy, hello, another familiar name. You could just make the dwarves more expensive. Yeah, you could. Smaller armies. I don't know, I mean, I assume that Maestro, our balancing man, has thought through all of that. You know, if he says it'll make them overpowered, I'll take his word for it. Just like Goat Cavalry, he's completely dismissed that. So we, as well as being an egregious lawbreak, of course. But then, you know, of course, I mean, lawbreak, you could say that anyone wearing plate armour is an egregious lawbreak, because in the books no one wears plate armour. It's set in a time before plate armour. So you could say just by giving them full suits of armour, that's a lawbreak. But you know, I mean, people feel strong that that one's okay to leave out. Where I mean, I think so too. I think having plate armor makes it provides more room for variation from a design point of perspective. Let me just do this like so. Some Haradrim patterns. There we go. Like so. Just go a bit quiet when I'm trying to focus on details, sorry. There we go. Lord LSR, is Myron fine too? I'm very good, thank you, Lord LSR. I don't know why you're asking, Teutonic Knight. I'm fine. I mean, I'll tell you for a fact that I'm fine. I'm doing great. And let's increase the brush size, of course. Or rather, let's go back to that really light yellow, light gold, and then sort of do some more work on these scales here. Just a heads up that if the Wi-Fi does go again, which I'm praying it doesn't, I might just call it a day there, just because you know, I do want to get some work done tonight, so I don't want to have to spend half an hour trying to fix a bleeding Wi-Fi again. So if it does crash again, then take it from me now that I do wish you all the greatest of evenings, and you know, that'll be it for the stream. Caden, it's good to see more Harad units. I've never seen so much of them in the movies. Yeah, you don't see much of them in the movies, yeah. You see the Tier 2 guys and the Moomakill. That's really it. So it's fun to expand a faction like that. You know, you're limited by the rules, by what we see in the film. You know, the what you design has to look like what you see in the film. But then that's the fun of it, kind of, because you've got those rules, but then you have to sort of bend them to fit the more elite units, like I'm doing here. And Pirate Knight. Well then, mateys, sorry, but I will not make the end of the stream. I be going to sleep now, so the gentleman of fortune be signing off. That is the last time I'll be reading out in my pirate voice then, I regret to say. But yes, thank you for sticking with me this far, Pirate Knight. And I pray ye good sleep aboard your vessel, aboard your ship. And good plundering on the morrow. Good plundering on the morrow, good fortune on the seas. Lord of SR Games Workshop do nice concepts. They do nice concepts, yeah. Are you talking about the Lord of the Rings specific ones? In which case I do have I think another one of the Tier 3 units I am going to take inspiration from the Games Workshop Hashari unit. And that's true, actually. Games Workshop has done a lot to expand the rosters a bit, yeah. Create sort of slightly new aesthetics for them. I don't think these aren't very similar to what they've designed though, as far as I know. Right, let's expand our brush a bit and let's lower our opacity and let's sort of create more texture on these. Oh, wrong colour. Create more texture on these greaves. They are, of course, beaten bronze, so they need to look the part. They need to look damaged, well, not damaged, but sort of dented and not very professionally made. There we go. And as I don't think I've talked very much in my streams about brush strokes. But I'm doing lots and lots of little strokes. You can see, there's times, places when you do a long stroke like this. But in this case, I'm trying to get a really rough texture. I'm doing lots and lots of little light brush strokes. I'm using a drawing pad for those of you who aren't familiar with that. I think it's next to impossible to do digital art without a drawing pad, just because it's so fiddly. You can try using a mouse, and if you can use a mouse, then you have my deepest respect, but it's not easy. Let me just catch up. Zan, I got scared because my internet died a sec, and I thought it was yours. I'd rather have mine died than yours. Oh yeah, that's a relief. Okay, that is a relief. But I'm sorry to hear your internet's bad as well. Umair Farouk, or Umair Farouk. Will Harad be a single player or a single faction, and a vassal of Mordor? It'll be playable as a single faction. I think, as far as I know, I don't know how the mechanics exactly are going to work, but there's going to be a sort of unite the clans of Harad, unite the tribes script, where you quite literally have to unite the tribes. You've got the main tribe, I assume you start with, but then you've got to unite, basically capture all the lands of Far Harad, which is where the Mahud guys live. And when you do that, you get the Moomakill and you get the Mahud units, and then you have to capture Umbar. And if you capture Umbar, you get the 4 Umbar units. As far as I know, that's how the gameplay is going to work for Harad. Zan, I kind of hope Harad is indeed an independent faction in alliance with Mordor and not a vassal, or at least not all of Harad. Yeah, I think we might I don't think we want to go into that sort of hard-coded. If you make them a vassal, that makes them automatically like an ally, you know? Whereas if you want to have some fun with your campaign, you can attack Mordor or something. That'd be cool. You know, that'll be a twist. So I imagine it might get a bit boring if every single time you're allied to Mordor. Especially for a faction like Harad, which could, technically, they could be good. I mean, they're not, but you could play them as a good Harad. They could ally with Gondor and hit Mordor from the south. Lord of Lassar. I think either way, Harad will have the same enemies as Mordor. Yeah. They all face Gondor, really. I mean, it's not like Divide and Conquer, where you've got Harad facing Gondor and Dol Amroth, and you haven't got the Umbar as a separate faction like in Divide and Conquer. So I don't know how it's all going to play out. It might feel a bit, you know, similar if you have to keep fighting, if Gondor's the only guy you fight. So I don't know how things are going to go, to be honest. I'm not in that department. So all I know is the sort of things that fly around, the news that flies around. I don't know all the little nitty-gritty details of it all. But that is a great question to ask for the stream later tonight, which is from Leo. Leo's doing a campaign mapping stream, so definitely keep your eyes open for that, because that's when you can ask all your campaign questions. Absolutely. B33 Mac, I believe that in their video on Mordor they said that Mordor can be betrayed by their vassals. Oh, okay. I mean, in that case, then I think that'd be quite cool. In a way, that makes it even better. If you're like an ally from the start, automatically, but you choose to betray, that's cooler for me. Yeah. Zarn saying Harad and Runic, two factions I can see betray Mordor if Mordor fails. Going alone or allying up with each other, or perhaps making new alliances. Like if I'm going, think alt-worldish. Yeah. So they'd sort of make their own new alternative alliance. Yeah, that'd be cool. A little bit of dust, wear and tear on this tunic here. Nothing too, and again, like I was saying earlier, nothing too detailed. I don't need anything to look spectacular. Bits like this, bits of tunic, it really doesn't need a whole lot of detail, because you're never going to look at it in detail. When you zoom out, I find it deeply unlikely that your eyes automatically zoom onto that. No way. Your eyes always focus on the face, like I was saying earlier. Begrillius, what do you guys think of Battle for Middle-earth Reforged? I haven't played it, to be honest. It does sound fun though. Oh no, I mean, I haven't played Battle for Middle-earth. Battle for Middle-earth Reforged, I don't know, it's a sort of semi-official game, isn't it? In that they're remaking the entire game from scratch. But then it's not a official game. So it's an unofficial remaking of the game. But from what I've seen on their server, the previews look absolutely wild. Their team is incredible. The stuff they produce, the quality is insane. Very inspiring stuff. Their concept art too is great. Caden, just curious, but are you going to try putting the Mumakil in the mod? Absolutely, yeah. That's going to be the centerpiece of the whole faction. What is a Harad faction without Mumakil, eh? But I mean, it does require a Mumakil will mean custom animations, and at the moment our animators are busy working on the troll, and after that they're going to work on the warg. But I think after the warg they're going to go to Mumakil. I think by then Frusty would have completed Harad as a faction. Frusty, for anyone who doesn't know, if you've been living under a rock, Frusty is a fairly new recruit who's just blazes through units. He's done the whole of the Dwarven roster for the new update. So he will be finished in no time with Harad. It's a question of whether my concepts can keep up, to be honest. That's why I'm trying to recruit new 2D artists. So if you do feel like you are up for doing 2D art, it would be good to have you in the team if you feel like you can keep up. Because we need help on that. Just also because I'm planning on stepping away from 2D art, moving to 3D. Helping out the architecture department, maybe with some custom Rohan architecture or Gondor, Minas Tirith kind of stuff like that. I don't know yet. But we've recently found out how to make curved walls, so that makes Isengard, Minas Tirith, Helm's Deep, all those maps possible now. And you might see work on that begin very soon. Discussing it today, actually. Nothing set in stone, of course, but we were just thinking about it today. Begrillius just downloaded Battle for Middle-earth 2 and Return of the Witch King, Rise of the Witch King again. Can't wait for the Reforged, yeah. Begrillius, really, you guys add Mumax? I thought you guys would skip that. Oh no, we can't skip an important thing like that. We've already shown that we don't play by the rules, really. We've beaten worse odds. It's not that the game doesn't allow that. It allows you to do it. It's just a huge amount of work. But we have people that are willing to put in that work, like Slow Anise and Priestel and our fantastic modelers who put in all that time to model things. I think our warg's just been finished, actually. I don't think I've seen any previews, but from what I know, the warg has been finished. That means it is basically ready for rigging and animation. So it's down to the animators to find the time, really. Also finish up with the troll first, then to find the time for the warg, which is really cool. That means that Isengard can finally get good cavalry, not those terrible Dunland skirmishers. And it means Mordor can get cavalry. Misty Mountains can get their armoured wargs, which is something really cool. And I think we're doing wargs first because, of course, they serve more of a purpose. They are, they're used in at least 3 or 4 factions, as opposed to Mumakil, which is just Harad specific. Here we are, just adding some finely, detailed touches. I haven't done these rings just yet. B33 Mac saying, are Mumax going to be able to fit through the gates, or will you have to break down the walls to fit them in? A mechanic like that, I have no idea how it works, to be honest. Really not very much. Not very knowledgeable on that, to be honest. I know that, for example, that trolls in Third Age can go on the walls because they're technically infantry. So I assume that stuff like that. I think the thing that they're modelled on from the base game, they'll behave like that basically. I think that's how it'll work. Caden, I always wonder how the Harad tame the Mumakil in the first place. Good point. They probably raise them in captivity, to be honest. You probably get born into captivity and I don't know, they are massive, aren't they? You must have, that must be like a full-on operation in the middle of the desert, having like a Mumak raising centre. A lot of them probably die. A lot of the zookeepers, I guess you can call them. They probably lose their life skewered on Mumakil tasks. Let's get some more little bits of dirt onto this We don't want them to be... I mean, I know they're more elite, but we don't want them to look perfect. And Lord Lesar, will you do goblins like they are in The Hobbit? The goblin faction is basically going to work as... Yes, the Hobbit ones are going to be the really crappy low tiers. And then the ones you see in Moria, which have a little bit more armour, and they look much cooler in my opinion, they're going to be the higher tiers. That's how it's going to work. And Haganahs are multi-talented. Modeler / concept artist is working on them as we speak. Git, hello. Goats of the Dwarves be like, when is it our time? When is it your time? Unfortunately, never. Goats of the Dwarves is never ever going to happen in our mod while we still draw breath, I'm afraid. There we go, a little bit more dirt on that. But Grillis, I would normally agree, but since Reforged is coming, I think I'll wait for that and stick with Dak and Rom. Yeah. Lee Dowdy, will there be a Balrog? I am not sure, but I'm leaning towards no on that. I don't know how that would work. I mean, even if we do add that, that'll be very late down the line. You know, we've got a lot more that is a priority before we do Balrog. So I'm going to say no with hesitation there. Begrius, does Harad have calves? I don't know the lore, but today in Return of Rise of the Witch King, there were Haradrim Lancers in Mordor's roster. Maybe a high and mid-tier cav for Harad and a mid-tier cav mercenary cav for Mordor. Harad has cav, yeah. Harad has one low-tier cav, possibly two. It's got two mid-tier cav, and then there's a Mahud unit cav, and there's a Serpent Guard. So it's pretty cav heavy, to be honest. You've got about 5 or 6 throughout the roster, which is pretty good. Nothing, of course, on Rohan. Rohan has about 10 or 11 cavalry units. But for a non-cavalry nation, and of course you've got the Mumikil as well. For a non-cavalry nation, Harad's probably quite well fitted in the cavalry department. I think Harad is quite an all-rounder. It's got good everything except armour. It's more of like a get in, hit them fast, high damage, shock infantry kind of thing, as opposed to, you know, prolonged melee. I think these guys will get wiped away in prolonged melee. What were you saying there? Sorry, I've got lost in the chat now. B33 Mac, Harad should have some cav since the books they are more known for their cavalry and Mumax rather than their infantry. Yeah, agreed. I mean, all this stuff, you can check the Trello page because all their roster information's there. You can see exactly what units they have. So you can have a look there to find out to your heart's content. And hello, William. William's here. William is my intern. Good to see you, man. And Lord LSR. Well, if Isengard is at its full strength, Gandalf already killed the Balrog. Yeah, true. I think it's set during the War of the Ring, this. So, I mean, if... You know, there's slight leaning. I mean, for instance, the Kingdom of Arnor is part of the game, and that comes around in the 4th Age. The Reforged Kingdom of Arnor, of course, I mean. So, you know, we're sort of leaning it, but I think the Balrog's just too much work for something that... Yeah, I know, it would be cool, but I mean, I don't know how well it would work. It might break the game or something. We don't want to risk that. Caden, what type of material does Harad use for armour? Well, you've got bronze. I mean, it looks a bit like gold here, but this is bronze, and this is sort of sewn onto it. There's a lot of stitching and lamellar kind of armour. You've got scales, plates, and then it's sewn onto a kind of wicker base. You know, they have a sort of wicker jacket, padding kind of thing, with these bronze bits sewn onto them. Yeah. Orc attacks and Mumikil going to be a thing? Yeah. We haven't modelled them yet, but the guy who's modelled the Warg has just finished, so he might start modelling the Mumikil. Well, I don't know. I can't guarantee anything, of course, but as far as I know. Creature, animation and modelling hasn't been that's not my department, so I'm not very knowledgeable on that. Of course, next time you see a troll animation stream, that's when you can ask all your questions for that. Of course, or Harad, or Frusty's next modelling Harad stream, because then he's actually modelling Harad. Joseph Maloney, hello. There is mention in the books of Southron cavalry at the Pelennor Fields. Yes. Yeah, don't you worry. Harad has at least 5 or 6 cavalry units, so they are not lacking in that department. Again, like I was saying before, really quite low detail on these shoes. Frusty knows that they're sort of basic boots. That's it, really. We don't need to convey that much information, so I don't want to spend too much time on them. There we go. A little bit of desert dirt on there. That's a nice colour. Sort of mud and cake dirt there. And there we go, that's enough for that. Simple. Knowing what to do, knowing what to spend time on, and knowing what to finish quickly is important. Bagrillius, yeah, bronze and wicker, yeah, spot on. Zahn, since we both seem to be trying to learn architecture and 3D modelling, got any quick tips you learnt? Well, I had a call with Victimize the other day about architecture, and to be honest, I didn't have a great understanding until he showed me exactly what he does. So to be honest, I think the best thing that could happen is basically we make a series of videos, that sort of tutorial videos that teach you how to make various assets and things. But I don't know if that will be done, because that's a lot of work from, of course, our team. In terms of tips, I mean, I'm not a pro, of course. I would say architecture is quite low poly. You don't make unless it's a specific asset, so like Orthanc Tower or Minas Tirith's Gateway or something. That's a unique asset, so you're never going to use that anywhere else. So what you do is you do exactly the same as you do a unit. You do a low poly model, which is the in-game model. Then you do a high poly model, which you then bake the details on in Substance Painter. So then it looks nice and high poly, but it's actually got that low poly count to keep the game stable. That's a custom architecture piece. Of course, then you texture it, etc. And then pathfinding, AI pathfinding, all that fun stuff. And then regular architecture pieces, as far as I know. Regular architecture pieces, you basically only do a low poly because you make a texture atlas. And a texture atlas is basically a load of high poly textures baked onto an alpha map, as far as I know. I might be getting these words wrong. So then you don't bother making a high poly model. You just use your textures already, and you unwrap your unwrap your low poly on top of the texture you want it to show. I know it sounds probably quite confusing, me saying it, and to be honest, I had to see it before I understood. But I think, on the whole, architecture modelling is much easier than unit modelling. So if you are thinking of joining the team, but you're not quite sure yet, apply to be an architectural modeller, because it's often a lot more simpler. It's usually just sort of big blocks, like a house is just a big square, isn't it? So yeah, that would be my tip, is to apply for an architectural position before you do modelling. And then you learn the basics, and then if you want to try out units, then you can go to unit modelling. We're very flexible with that kind of stuff. and I've gone a long rant there, and I've lost the chat again. Oh yeah, Oezka, sorry. Are there any plans for concepts of the Morgul Orcs of Mordor? I think the faction card looks really interesting. The Morgul Orcs of Mordor, the faction card. I'm not sure. I mean, there is one concept, I think, which I did before Christmas. There's one Morgul unit, which isn't in the game, no. But yeah, I've already done that concept should be on the Trello page if you have a look. They're called the Morgul Raiders, as far as I remember. God, it was a while ago now. Git asking, same as Arnor, Khazad-dûm is also 4th age again. Yeah, so I don't know what, I mean, I think it's just there because, I mean, everyone loves Arnor. You can't say you hate Arnor. Arnor is just a cool Gondor, and everyone likes Gondor as well. And if you don't, I'll shoot you. So, I don't know why we added that actually. I think it's probably replacing the lack of an Eriador faction. Which of course we don't have, and even if we do add an Eriador faction like a Bree and the Shire faction, it would be a non-playable, quite passive faction, I think. Joseph Maloney, Wild Model finished, yeah, interesting. Do you know which version they went with, Lord of the Rings or Hobbit style? I think we went with Hobbit style. Hobbit style because they look like... I mean, the CGI was poor on them, I think, in my opinion. But the Lord of the Rings ones just look a little bit too cartoony. I mean, if I were to do it, I would do a sort of middle ground. I'd take the realistic look of the Lord of the Rings ones and then combine that with the more... menacing look of the Hobbit ones. But I don't know what he did, to be honest. I think, if I can remember correctly, they did look a little bit more like the Hobbit ones. But don't worry, they will look cool. Very cool. And I think it was down to the CGI, not the modelling. Not the design that the Hobbit ones had. Lee Dowdy, are there any good modelling tutorials you could recommend? Well, I mean, I'd check out Mega Blue Iron or Froosty's streams, because that's where they're making, Rise of Mordor assets for the game and stuff. So, I mean, of course, you've got Blender Guru on YouTube. He's basically your bread and butter for your basics of Blender. The donut tutorial is something I did back in the day. Oh god, I'm speaking like a veteran modeler now. No, absolutely still a beginner, but I found that helpful. I found the Blender Guru donut tutorial helpful in getting the basics down. And then once you've got the basics down, then I moved to Mega Blue Iron streams, where you know what he's doing because you're familiar with it. But then you can learn the little tips he does with Rise of Mordor specific modelling. Is what I would advise. But if you ask on the Discord chat, the people who actually know what they're talking about, the modelers, will respond and they will send you in the right direction. But I think they'll probably say Blender Guru. B33 Mac, I wish I could stay, but I've got to go now. Keep up the good work. Well, it was good to have you here, B33. Good to have you here indeed. Thank you for coming by. Caden saying, are there going to be Black Numenorians on the mod? Well, you've got 2 units of Black Numenorians there already in the Mordor roster. The Servants of the Eye and the Guards of the Teeth are both Black Numenorians. And as far as I know, there's one more coming to Harad, which is the Lords of Westerness. No, not Lords of Westerness, sorry. Aduna Kori, the Lords of the West. And they're going to be less evil looking. They're going to be sort of a combination of Arnor, like Middle Eastern design, and Mordor, Black Numenor design. Is my plan. I haven't really thought about them very thoroughly yet. There we go, just increasing this sort of texture a little bit here. No need to do anything too spectacular here again. You know, Frusty I want to spend a little bit more time doing these greaves because these are more... Frusty will actually have to look at them quite hard to study them exactly what's going on, you know. Again, it's nothing too ridiculous. Teutonic Knight, everyone likes Khazad-dûm too. That's true. It's true. I mean, I know there's going to be a script. There's going to be an Erebor script where you reclaim Khazad-dûm, but it only rewards you one unit, which is the Mansion Reclaimers. So I mean, there is one Khazad-dûm unit, and I mean, I think the fact that they would in the Fourth Age they reclaim Khazad-dûm, yeah, but it would have been Erebor units that reclaim Khazad-dûm. They wouldn't have suddenly magically changed their armor, but because they came to Khazad-dûm, you know, unless they found armor there already. Awkward Saxon saying Lord of the Rings wargs look sort of like they have Down syndrome sometimes. They do a bit, don't they? I don't know why. I don't know why they didn't make them look slightly scarier. I think the ones that Gimli gets, you know, buried under, could have been real. They could have been practical. As far as I can't remember when I watched the behind the scenes, but maybe. The Lord of the Rings ones kind of look more like bears than wolves. Yeah, true. Oezka. I think that Mordor are Morgul Raiders and Morgul Orcs are different units. Oh yeah, Morgul Raiders are the ones I was talking about. Whoops. Zoom in. Yeah, I think there's Morgul Orcs, there's Morgul Legion, and then there's Morgul Raiders. Morgul Legion is already in the game, and then the Morgul Raiders are not. I made them for a guy, and then he left. He left after making one greave, one piece of armor, and then he left. That kind of modeler we don't like over here at Rise of Mordor. We like people who are committed. We really don't like the people who say they're going to be committed and then they leave. That's the worst type of people in our opinion. And sadly we do get a few, and I'm sure most of them have sort of different reasons, personal issues or other stuff like that. I mean, but still not very nice. If you perhaps they don't quite realise what they're getting into. Oh, right, another demonstration of... I realise we have it on lock. You can still actually draw on the other layers. Gindras the Goat, hello. I'm sorry I'm late. It looks very, very good. Thank you, Gindras. Well, if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, I do apologise. But yeah, thank you. Here's another prime demonstration of poor layer management. You can see there in the... So I'm going to lasso that, copy it, then get rid of it, and then paste it. That's how I do things. And then we can put it back onto there, and we can merge this and this, like so. There we go. Now Control E to merge, by the way. Look at Divide and Conquer. Khazad-dûm there is authentic from Erebor. I thought they have their own aesthetics though. They have their own units. Like the First Legion, Second Legion, or it's been a while, sorry. I've never actually played Divide and Conquer, but I've seen some YouTube videos. Caden asking, what is the most elite unit in the Harad roster? Well, that'll be the Mumakil. But excluding the Mumakil, you've got the Serpent Guard, which is a sort of elite lance cavalry. They'll basically look like these guys, but even more elite in silver armour, I'm thinking. And then you've got the Lords of the West, the Aduna Kori for Umbar, which is like a sub-faction of Harad, which is an elite double-handed sword, I think. And I realise I usually keep the stream to 2 hours long, but I mean, unfortunately we had that terribly annoying Wi-Fi disconnection in the middle, so I might go for another 15 minutes or so, just to make that up. But it's been a pretty productive stream, actually. We haven't done anything particularly interesting in the since we've been doing fabric and sort of making things dirtier and texturing. But I think that's equally important. If you're an artist, you need to know how to show that. Because while we're keeping things rough, I still need to show Frucy what the basic texture is like. Because he, of course, needs to see this to decide what materials he's going to use in Substance Painter. So it doesn't have to be super detailed, but it needs to be enough that he can get a good idea from a glance. I mean, it's also handy. Fabric, clothing like this is probably the fastest thing to draw, actually. Well, I think it is. Fabric is definitely the fastest thing to draw. You can quite easily draw convincing fabric. It takes a while to learn how to draw good fabric, and I'm still learning very much. But I think it's a lot easier to do than armor or other stuff like faces or weapons, just because you can still be quite rough with it. If you look at the details here, it's not very refined at all, really. But it looks good. It looks acceptable. Teutonic Knight saying, to be honest, I love the Legion aesthetic to Khazad-dûm in Divide and Conquer. I'm going to go plunder some Lithuanian villages. See ya. Geert saying, thank you Teutonic Knight for stopping by the way. Geert saying, it's going to be disappointing for Dwarven fans when there will only be 1 or 2 Dwarven factions. Well, I mean, yeah. Well, the thing is, Erebor has gone from one of the smallest rosters to one of the largest rosters. Okay. So, yeah, there is plenty of potential there. And that it's all our planning like that. Faction planning is basically all derived from gameplay perspective. So Maestro spent a lot of time coming up with gameplay plans like that. So I mean, if he's choosing not to include Khazad-dûm, that's his decision, and I can see why. Because you've got the goblins, and then you've got Gundabad at the top of the Misty Mountains. You've got goblins down the middle, and then you've got Isengard at the foot of the Misty Mountains, right? But then bear in mind that you've got in Eriador alone, you've got Arnor, and you've got Imladris and Linden, and maybe Eredluin. That's already 3 powerful factions. And then from the other side, you've got the Anduin Vale, and you've got Mirkwood, and you've got Lothlorien, and you've got Rohan. So that's basically 3 factions in the Misty Mountains, surrounded by about 5 or 6 or 7 strong, good factions. Yeah. So if things go the way that they are in the lore, they just get wiped out. If there was a really strong Dwarven faction in in one of the biggest settlements of the Misty Mountains, the goblins just wouldn't stand a chance. And I don't think that would be very fun as well. From a gameplay perspective, if the goblins just get wiped out every time regardless, then it loses any sort of interest, any dynamic, you know. So it's primarily the reason Khazad-dûm isn't there is primarily a gameplay thing, yeah. Jindras saying, to be honest, I'm surprised you pronounced the Czech name really good. Jindras, I mean, Jindras is how I'd pronounce it in English, but I would say, I mean, my German instinct would tell me to say Jindras, but that might be wrong. Anyway, Begrillia is saying, do you draw equipment separately plus to this to provide 3D designers or just these units? Most of the time I include the weapon in the concept, yes. In this case I forgot to give them shields. I forgot the shield, so I don't know if I will. I'll do that separately, or maybe even just a sketch. You know, it doesn't have to be too amazing. Our weapons aren't designed by Frusty. Our weapons are designed by Executioner, who's done some really cool stuff. He did Executioner did Dane's high poly helmet, which looks amazing. If you've seen Dane's custom general, oh, it looks amazing. I think about 5 or 6 people worked on that in total. You had, of course, Frusty doing the main modelling, and then you had Executioner do the helmet and the weapon, and then you had Frusty. Oh, you had Frusty already. Fuzzy did some of the other work for the armor, and then Haganaz modelled Dane's custom head, and then Scouse Sicario did the hair. So that's an incredible 5 modellers on one unit alone, which goes to show you the amount of work that was put in. That, of course, is that's more work than we usually put in, because of course he's a really cool custom general. But still, that puts into perspective how much work goes on behind the scenes that you don't really hear about. I think the people who do the streaming, like Frusty and Mega Blue Iron, they get lots of nice words and stuff, but the people who do the work behind the scenes and don't really put themselves out there that much, I don't think they get enough praise as they deserve. So, any kind words on the chat in the Discord where they'll see it, I think they'd appreciate that a lot. Geert saying, then I'm asking myself, how did that in DAC? How did that work in DAC? Well, bear in mind, in Divide and Conquer you have Moria as 2 different settlements, right? Whereas I don't think we're doing that here. And in DAC you've also got Angmar in the north. So Angmar basically keeps Arnor and Eredluin busy. I don't know, to be honest. I mean, and also Khazad-dûm in Divide and Conquer, it just sort of stays in Khazad-dûm. They never really go anywhere. And I guess we could. I mean, they would work as a passive faction, and then I guess it would be cool to play as them. So I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure they would work if you really wanted them. But as far as I know, Moria is going to only be 1 settlement. In which case, that heavily disadvantages the goblins, because then they'd lose a big key settlement. Because what else would they have? The goblins would really only have Khazad-dûm and Goblin Town. I'm not sure there's any other massive goblin settlements in the Misty Mountains that we know of. Joseph Maloney saying, how will Arnor work? Is they just going to be are they just going to be a fully established faction from the start, or is there going to be a more accurate scripted way to make them lore accurate? Yes, second one there. The first, I think they're going to begin as a sort of very much a guerrilla tactics kind of thing. They're going to be focused on skirmishes and sort of elite but lightly armoured units, as far as I know. And then when you reunite the kingdoms, you create the reforged realm of Arnor, then you get your nice Gondorian looking beauty that I have great fun in designing. Knight of Anumilas. Hello, Knight of Anumilas. Good to see you. Good to see you. And Emil Ritter agreed. Behind the scenes are just as important. Yes, yeah. Behind the scenes on the development team is what he means. And Caden asking, it's nice to have another Middle-earth Total War mod. Absolutely, I agree. It's probably the most... I mean, of course, you've got Bannerlord, Kingdoms of Arda, but that's not released yet. So this is basically the most graphically modern, from a graphics perspective, from a gameplay perspective, where it's the most modern Total War. I mean, of course, the Bannerlord isn't even Total War, but very similar. And once we're able to get a full campaign out, then I think the traffic will really start coming towards our way. We might get, people like Pixelated Apollo back. That'd be cool. Some big exposure like that would be really helpful towards the growth. And once there's a playable campaign, I'm sure the engagement will just skyrocket. Is the hope. Anyway, that's what we've been hoping. Jindras the Goat's asking, so there will be Angmar? So no, I was talking about Divide and Conquer Angmar. In our mod, basically, Angmar is going to be a desolate land, and then Gundabad can sort of swoop in and claim those lands. And then you basically, as Gundabad, you'll fight against the Northern Dunedain, so Arnor, and Imladris and Linden and Ered Luin, if we add Ered Luin as a faction. We might well not add Ered Luin as a faction, playable faction. It might just be a passive faction that stays in the Blue Mountains. So we don't know yet. A lot is still in, work in progress. But all will be revealed in time when we get our... We're still working on our faction overviews. At the moment we've only got Gondor and Mordor released, but fear not that they are still going ahead. I don't know which one's coming next, but it'll coming soon, fairly soon. So once they're all out, then you'll get a really a much clearer perspective of what exactly is going to be happening in the gameplay. Until then, I mean, a lot of what I say might not be true. I don't know what's going on inside Maestro's head. Not one clue. I'm only, repeating what I picked up. So it might not be true. It might not be wholly accurate what I'm saying. So don't hold me to that. And you know what? With that, I think I'm going to call it a day. Now, we haven't got quite as far as I would have hoped because, of course, we had an internet issue in the middle. But that's why I've gone a little bit over time. Let's just, I mean, I have to say this concept is fairly close to being finished now. Actually, we've got some more tidying up work to do. These metal rings here. We've got little bits of detail here and there. This central guy, I'd say, is very close to being finished, actually. But this guy, our named character, our beloved Asif, that we've called him, I think he needs a bit more detailing. He's the most recent one I've done anyway. So, but any questions you have, let me know them now before I finish. Git asking, what you just said about Khazad-dûm would be a good idea if they don't play as them In the campaign, they will be passive, but you can play as them. Well, yeah, but that's the thing. If they occupy Khazad-dûm, that's taking away a massive settlement for the Goblins of Moria. And if the Goblins don't have access to that big settlement, they're just going to get absolutely wiped out. Where else would they go? But that depends. I don't know how many settlements they would have, so I'm not sure. And that's all I'm going to be doing on that concept for today. Knight of Anuminas saying they should be a maximum of 2 dwarven kingdoms. A third dwarven faction like Khazad-dûm of Divide and Conquer seems very redundant. Well, yes, I mean, Erebor has a very, very varied roster. You know, you've got your standard Erebor units, you've got your Iron Hills units, but then you've also got Ered Mithrin, Orikani, you've got a Gundabad unit, you've got a Moria Khazad-dûm unit. So that's lots and lots of different aesthetics combined together. And then, of course, if we do make Ered Luin a faction, there would be a very different aesthetic to Erebor. So we don't want to combine too much. We don't want to make dwarves oversaturated, because, of course, in Middle-earth there wasn't many dwarves. There wasn't many dwarven kingdoms. There was just Ered Luin and the Iron Hills, as far as we know, in the Third Age, and maybe the dwarves of the Orikani. So, and yeah, one thing, I mean, we might well make an Orikani faction if, and only if the gameplay allows for it. Yeah. If we find that, because of course our Middle-earth map is quite fleshed out, it goes quite far east. So I mean, if we find that you know, that gameplay there, you know, needs more, you know, it needs more action in that area, in that theatre, then we might add an Orikani faction. You know, we might add a Moriquendi Dark Elven faction. You never know. So do stay tuned for all that exciting stuff. But with that, I am going to call it a day for today. Oh no, we've got some Ragnarok saying, "Hell, they look so good. Will you also make shields from them?" Yes, I forgot to add them in the concept actually. But yes, I'll make shields, maybe separately. Caden saying, "What about the Orcs of Dol Guldur?" Yeah. Dol Guldur will provide some distraction actually from Lothlorien and Anduin Vale. That's very true. But still, I think the Goblins of Moria, or the Goblins of the Misty Mountains, will just get absolutely overrun if they have too many enemies, and B, if they have too few settlements. But then, yeah, you know, that's the questions for later, because Leo is doing his stream very soon. As far as I know, I don't know when exactly he is doing it. Let me just check on the Discord a quick second. Oh, we've got a new modeler. Oh, lovely! It's always exciting when a new modeler comes. Oh, so I'm just seeing some really cool updates. Edred's posted a really cool design for Lothlorien that you. I'm making you jealous now of our cool behind the scenes stuff. But yeah, oh, wow, that looks incredible. So yeah, I don't know when Leo's doing a stream, but it'll be fairly soon. So stay tuned for that. Other than that, folks, though, I'm going to call it a day. I do apologise for that inconvenience we had in the middle. But that... our chat is disconnected there, that's annoying. But I do apologise for that inconvenience, but hopefully you had a good time. So, with that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you all have a good evening, or wherever you are in the world. Have a good day, have a good morning, stay safe, and I'll see you again next week. Catch Leo's stream in a second. Goodbye.